Body type and size is a very important factor in the NBA, and not exactly for the reasons you might expect. While everyone is expected to be big in the NBA, there have been many of just above average height that have dominated or made the big men look like fools. However, when it comes to hand size, it's almost universally agreed on that the bigger your hands, the better, if for no other reason than you can grip the ball better and thus have more control. Allow us to show you some of the biggest hands in the history of the NBA.
Just a reminder about our new giveaway. We're giving away the new iPad Pro or the new iMac Pro. The choice is yours. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.
8. Rajan Rondo. You might be surprised to find Rajan Rondo on this list, because when you look at him, you wouldn't think he would have a large set of hands. At only 6'1", Rondo's hand length measures 9.5 inches and his hand span measures 10 inches, which is crazy to think about, but Rajan has one of the most unique body height to wingspan ratios ever recorded in the NBA. If you were to measure his hands, you'd think that he would measure up to be about 7'1", not 6'1". We say that because he is indeed the same hand length as a certain legend we'll detail later who was in fact 7'1".
Is joining us here, NBA champion, 4-time All-Star, point guard.
It's been a crazy summer, but for the most part a great summer. Nonetheless, as far as coming back, this organization with additions, I think we're pretty deep in every position. So unlike last year, things weren't as consistent as far as our rotation and consistent play that we had.
This explains a lot about the skill of Rajan Rondo. At one point in time, he was considered one of the best point guards in the game and was a huge part of the Boston Celtics winning the NBA title in 2008, and then getting back to the NBA Finals in 2011. He is known for having great control of the ball and at times very impressive shooting. While his stats have waned in recent years, he seems to have a good home with the Lakers, and his big hands will help them on their way to the NBA Finals potentially when the game resumes. 7. Elgin Baylor. Let's talk about the Elgin Baylor. The #1 draft pick in 1958, NBA Rookie of the Year in 1959, 11-time NBA All-Star, and a 10-time member of the All-NBA First Team, Elgin Baylor is regarded as one of the game's all-time greatest players. He's synonymous with the earlier time periods of the NBA and is easily considered one of the top players to ever play, regardless of period. And yeah, you can attribute part of the reason for this to his hands. He doesn't have the biggest hands ever, mind you. Some players like Michael Jordan honestly have just barely a wider stance in his hands than him. It is therefore safe to say that Baylor's hand length is around 9.75 inches and his span is around 11 inches. This is really mind-blowing considering he stands at 6'5", but when you look at his hands, they almost look freakish in their size.
And everywhere I've gone, people have complimented me the fact that, book and they've read it. And it was great, because there had some other great players there too that getting the stature. And I'm very grateful, honored that, to get a stature.
Obviously, he put those hands to good use, and he helped dominate the NBA in the period he was with them. 6. Wilt Chamberlain. Going from one legend to another, if you were to compile a list of the top 10 or so all-time greats, you'd be hard-pressed to not put Wilt Chamberlain on the list. Now, sure, some people will note that he only had 2 NBA final wins in his career, one with the 76ers and one with the Lakers, but as many have noted in certain cases, LeBron, rings aren't everything. And to just judge Wilt Chamberlain on his ring count would defy everything that his massive hands did for him in his time in the NBA.
Hurried their heads and say this guy is going to go away and this and that and the other thing, and before you know it, he was the Chancellor of Germany, and we all know the rest. Mainstay, which is sports, the thing that I think most of us gravitate to and affects us all sooner or later.
His hands, which were 9.5 inches in length and 11.5 inches in span, were not particularly impressive for someone his size, but they were still significantly bigger than the average, and Wilt himself was anything but average. This was a man who averaged 50 points a game during a season, who consistently had triple-doubles when he played, and of course, had the legendary 100-point game that has still never been broken. He was a force of nature when he stepped onto that court, and that's why he's considered not just one of the best ever, but possibly the greatest scorer in NBA history. When he went to the basket, his hands would find a way to make the ball go in, period. 5. Kawhi Leonard. Here's another surprise entrant for you, because while Kawhi is currently one of the best NBA players in the league, you wouldn't suspect him of having a larger set of hands than most, yet he does. At 6'7", Leonard possesses a hand length of 9.75 inches and a hand span of 11.25 inches. The average length and span of a 6'7" player in the NBA are around 8.8 inches and 9.5 inches respectively. So yeah, he's more than average, and he's used that to his advantage from almost the moment he stepped into the NBA. The story of Kawhi and his hands are honestly one of proof over belief. He came into the NBA without much hype and was drafted to the Spurs, who had an already loaded roster. He struggled early on, but soon became the Finals MVP when the Spurs beat the Heat, led by LeBron, and then, when things went sour with the Spurs, he went to the Raptors and won them the title for the first time, and again got the MVP.
We can't take our free throws out of the whole game. They pretty much made the last 6 or 7 free throws towards them. Winning it was it's a plus. I didn't come in the game saying I'm going to take that trophy home.
Kawhi has a natural talent to him that he brings to every team he's on, and currently the Los Angeles Clippers are more than happy to have his above-average hands on their court, because they're counting on him in the playoffs to lead them to victory, especially against LeBron and the Lakers. 4. Michael Jordan. It's honestly kind of ironic that the man who is the greatest of all time, sorry LeBron fans, doesn't have the biggest hands ever, but it honestly fits the mold of him not needing the biggest of hands to dominate the game. Just as ironic though, his whole body is weird when you break down the stats. He's 6'6", but wears a size 13 shoe, which is pretty small for a man at his height, hence his lightning footwork and creativity using his feet. Interestingly, his left foot, size 13.5, is bigger than his right, size 13. So, like we said, his whole body is weird, but MJ just used that to his advantage to dominate the league and win 6 titles. We're just saying.
All we're trying to enjoy that year, knowing that it was coming to an end. I was hoping that, the beginning of told Phil that, he can go 82-0 and he would never get the chance to come back.
Seriously though, Michael Jordan was a threat from literally his second game in the league. He was Rookie of the Year, multiple-time MVP, multiple-time Finals MVP, never lost a Finals he was in, can you say that, LeBron? And never went to a Game 7 in the Finals. The only crime in his career was that he did baseball for 2 years, and then as The Last Dance revealed, they weren't allowed to keep the team together to go for 7. But regardless of that, everyone knew that when the game was on the line, you put the ball in Michael Jordan's big hands. 3. Julius Erving. Oh yeah, we're going really old school with this one, because this is Julius Erving, aka Dr. J, one of the most thrilling players to watch on the court in the history of the NBA. His hand size has been the subject of many debates over the years, though. Erving's hand size has been estimated to be as low as 9 inches in length and 11 inches in span to as high as 12 inches in length and 13 inches in span. Fortunately, Erving did us a favor by comparing his hands with Noah Vonleh, so because of that, we can better measure his hands.
I never take anything for granted. And regarding my sports career, I kind of felt as though I came in through a side door through the year. So it was very important for me to try to go out the front door. So after 16 years, I've been with the Sixers.
Dr. J's hand length is probably somewhere around 9.5 inches. His hand span is also probably around 11.75 inches. Regardless, like many legends, Erving used his massive hand size to do just about anything he wanted with the ball, including dunk the ball with authority and make it look flawless. It was even said that his hands were so big that he could palm the ball all the way back in high school. That's a scary thought, but then again, Erving was a scary guy to go up against on the b-ball court. 2. Giannis Antetokounmpo. It honestly would have been shocking if Giannis hadn't made this list, because he's known as the Greek Freak for a reason. Giannis is, by and large, one of the most dominant forces in the NBA today, and his Bucks are on the top of the Eastern Conference because of him and his massive hands. This insanely talented 6'11" forward who plays like a point guard is one of the few players in the NBA who can boast of a 12-inch hand span and a hand length of 9.85 inches. That massive hand can help him not just dunk a ball, but pass it with ease and make great shots. He's the current league MVP, and many expect him to get it again.
And defensive wall. Gets it back. Right-handed hammer.
Well, here's a little wall banger.
You don't hear about all-around packages that much in the NBA anymore for one reason or another, but with strength, size, skills, defense, and more, Giannis is all that and more. 1. Shaquille O'Neal. Arguably the greatest big man to ever play the game, Shaquille O'Neal is on an official level. There is one guy who had an unofficial record that beat him, the man with the biggest set of hands in NBA history. Shaq's hand length is in the range of 10 to 10.25 inches, and his hand span is in the range of 11.75 to 12 inches. When he was on the court, Shaq was a threat, especially with the ball in his hands. He was a major reason the Magic went to the finals, he was the reason that the Lakers won 3 titles during his time, and he helped get Dwayne Wade his first ring.
The enemy for Charlotte, but they can score points in a big hurry. Warning nearly illegal. Penny pump fake, steps through, Shaq follows. Watch Shaquille here, the power on this dunk. Oh. Almost brought the goal down again.
He was dominant, would dunk on you mega hard, and even broke the backboard with the dunk. But even with all of that power, Shaq is one of the most lovable and fun guys you'll ever meet. Just don't ask him to make a free throw. So, what did you think? What did you think of these players who had incredibly large hands when they were in the NBA? Were you surprised by some of the people who were on this list? Or who wasn't on this list? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.